All right, guys. Thanks for jumping on another episode of Close and Conquer. Got my buddy, Shawne Merriman here. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man.
Good. Well, hey, thanks for being here. Coming off the Super Bowl, still in Vegas. And I have a couple questions for you because I bet a lot of money on the Chiefs, okay? And I was riding them during the playoffs.
Yep.
Pre-Super Bowl, what was your thought? Who wins the game? By how? Like, what was your thought on the game?
It was always the Chiefs.
Okay.
It was always,
why always the Chiefs?
Well, because for one, there was two teams that they beat that were better than them already. In my opinion, the Buffalo Bills were a better team already. The Ravens definitely were a better team, and they beat both of them. So I already knew the 49ers were a better team, but if they were to beat two to get there, then they're not going to lose. Certain teams just know how to win, and they know how to win in big situations. No situation or playoff moment is big enough for them.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no way in hell they're losing this game. And 49ers, in my opinion, were a much better team than they were.
Much better team.
Yeah.
On paper.
Yeah.
So first half's over. You still figure Chiefs going to come back. They're going to make adjustments, win the game.
I didn't waver not one bit. And mind you, I'm not like following the live betting and all that stuff, right? But my boys, they were there. Oh, they're up, plus 250. I said, guys, throw that shit out the window. Correct. It does not matter. I'm telling you right now, down 10-0, it does not matter. These guys are going to come back and win the game, and they did.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, has anybody ever achieved that much at this age, at that position, or in any position for that matter?
No.
In any sport?
No, and not this fast.
Yeah.
Not this fast. And I hate the moment that we start goating a lot of people.
Yeah,
I hate that, right?
Yep.
Couple years, whether you're playing great or you're not playing great, so you're either a GOAT or they write you off in a year or two.
Right.
And I hate that. But at this time, like right now, you got to start mentioning Patrick Mahomes in that category, right? I'm not saying he's Tom Brady or Joe Montana or anything like that, but you at least nobody should be mad at him being mentioned at this point in that conversation.
So I'm watching the end of the game. So I got to go to the game, and I'm watching the celebration. And I was thinking about you. I think about a lot of y'all, meaning like game's over. And there's Patrick Mahomes, and there's Travis Kelce, and there's a wide receiver caught the pat, the one who said he didn't know he won the game, right? And then you got Patrick's wife and the kids. I'm guessing they didn't bring Taylor Swift down because I guess they were afraid about security. I guess they didn't bring her up there. Maybe she went out shadowing, but who knows what her deal was. But Chiefs played pretty good defense.
Yeah.
And defensive players, I was watching this thing the other day. I think it was Charles, was it? Is he the last one to won a Heisman at defensive player? I mean, he played both, but like – and I remember that I was watching, and they said, well, I always assumed that to win the Heisman, I had to have a ball in my hand. As a defensive player, you play your ass off. Because I'm just curious. Do you just know, like, hey, dude, like, no matter what I do or don't do, and this is the way it's going to unfold, like, from a recognition standpoint, celebration standpoint, MVP standpoint?
You just know as a defensive player, you got to do something exceptional. Yeah. Like I think when Von Miller won it some years ago, right in the Super Bowl, what do you have, like 2-3 sacks or something like that? I mean, it was something obnoxious. So you got to do something way over the top to even get that consideration, right? And I'm talking about even if your quarterback, by the way, has to play mediocre or just above average in order for you to be looked at. So I thought that, on the Chiefs side of the ball, I thought that Chris Jones was going to get the MVP. I thought they were going to finish up a couple sacks, big plays, turnover on down, something big. And if the 49ers won, which I didn't think they were going to win, but if they just so happen to win, like a Fred Warner or one of those guys going to get it. But you got to, as a defensive player, you got to get 3 sacks, a forced fumble, TFL, 8-9 tackles. Something so crazy because you know who they want to give the MVP to.
And why do they want to give it to? Why do they want to give it to the quarterback so bad?
Because it's a quarterback-driven league.
Yeah.
Like the league, and people, same thing with Taylor Swift. Oh, they got on the camera. She generated almost $500 million.
Say it again. How much?
Almost $500 million she generated just by
showing up.
By showing up.
And that into what dollars? Where did that? She built. $500 million came in because she showed up to football games. Where? Advertising, marketing. Where?
This was the first game ever that they had beauty products in the commercials.
Ever.
So why on God's green earth, for the first time in Super Bowl history, that a beauty product is paying $7 million for a 30-second commercial because of Taylor Swift? And so she has that effect. So you can't be mad at the NFL for including her. $500 million for showing somebody for 12 to 14 seconds at a time is a lot of money.
And then, so just to get my mindset, y'all never like mad at nobody. You just realize that's kind of as you grow up in a game, where you play at, high-level college ball, pros, you can have a mediocre quarterback.
Yep.
You can go out there and bust your ass, get X amount of tackles, maybe grab a sack, but he's still going to get all love. It's a quarterback-driven sport, league, and you just kind of deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, but you know that going in. And in fact, guys don't even have a problem with that. Like at that point, you care about winning, right?
Correct.
You're a champion.
100%.
It's nice if you get the recognition of being MVP, but at the end of the day, if you win that damn ring, I mean, that surpasses any kind of MVP you can get.
So why is Andy Reid? Because you said they already beaten a couple teams that were better than them.
Yeah.
They beat a team that you said is much better than them.
Yeah.
In the biggest game of the year. Why did they pull it off? Andy Reid, Mike Shanahan. Or I'm sorry, not Mike Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan. Why did they pull that off?
Preparation. In fact, if you look at social media now and what they're saying, some of the 49ers players didn't even know about the overtime rules.
Come on.
They didn't know it. About who scores, what happens when
you think they really didn't know it?
Some of the guys didn't. And I'm sure that they practice 2-minute drill. Every team does. You practice 2-minute drill, game time situations. But it's one thing to put emphasis on being in that moment because you got to think the Chiefs have been there so many times. You knew that they're going to get back there. So they practice those moments, right? Okay, if 49ers receive the ball in overtime, this is what we're going to do. 2-minute drill, we get a forced fumble, ball back in our hands, this is what we're going to do. So they're sitting around practicing this all the time, so it becomes repetition. And so for the 49ers, I was a bit shocked that they took the ball.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Because if you go down there and you kick the ball, Kansas City got it, you know what you're dealing with. Yeah. If they go down to score, you know you got to score.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, why would you put yourself in that spot first?
To me, it comes down, and it's not a knock. I know Kyle Shanahan. I've got a pretty good relationship with him, but you got to think that somebody's just practicing those very specific scenarios are going to be way ahead of the curve because they know they're going to be there. That's what the difference of coaching and those situations come in at.
You ever play for Andy Reid in any capacity? Or?
No. But in fact, though, and when I tell you about preparation, so we were playing them when he was with Philly.
Yeah.
When I was playing, they had Donovan McNabb quarterback. The offensive line coach came up to me before the game and he said, "Shawne, you're a great player. Love watching you. You won't touch Donovan McNabb today."
Who came up and said to you?
The offensive line coach
came over to you and said, Philly. "Hey, just so you know." Did you know him?
No. But our coach Ron Rivera was close to him, right? He came over to me and said, "I think you're a great player, but you're not touching Donovan McNabb today." I looked at him and basically you shitting me. That's what I told him. Yeah. I said, "Okay, we'll see."
Yeah.
I didn't touch Donovan McNabb. Not one time.
Why not?
They schemed me more than I've ever seen anybody scheme anybody.
Really?
Ever. And so when I tell you about preparation and game planning, go back in that game. I think I forgot exactly what year it was, but I got to go back. I think it was 09, 010 or something like that. Go back in that game. They brought so many motioning tight ends, tackles, fan protection, chip off the edge, cut blocks.
You've never seen that much in
Never
one game?
seen anything like that before. I didn't touch Donovan. But that's what goes to tell you about game planning. They told me, he said, we don't give a damn who make a play. You're not going to.
Which is a great philosophy. Yeah. You ain't going to beat us.
Right.
Let somebody else do it.
He came up to me pregame, walked up to me and said that. So when I tell you, this was coming from him and Andy Reid and their preparation that they told me before the game started, said, you're not touching Donovan. And I seen Donovan at Radio Row. And I brought it up, and he said, yep, that was the plan, not to let you get anywhere close to me.
And you didn't.
And I didn't.
What are the odds? And they talk a lot about winning 3 in a row. First of all, have anybody won 3 in a row?
No.
Never. History in the NFL.
They might have happened in the 90s with the Cowboys. I don't know what the stats are, but from my recollection, I don't think anybody's ever done it.
What are the odds? Do they got a shot to do it?
No.
They don't?
No.
Why not?
Jim Harbaugh.
That's
Tell us. Jim Harbaugh. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
It's not going to happen. Because, for one, the Chargers should have beat them at least one of those games last year anyway.
Yeah.
They should have beat them. With mediocre coaching, guys hurt, bad game planning. They still had a shot to be in that game. Jim Harbaugh coming in, that's not going to happen. And if I see them at worst case splitting games with KC.
Okay.
At worst.
So you think they sweep them?
I think they could sweep them.
Okay.
And so unless they're gonna, KC's gonna go out and get a big number 1 wide receiver. They got to get a target now. They can't keep relying on Pat. First of all, KC shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl because they wasn't good enough. But they know how to win. Does that make any sense? The team. They're
on paper. What team wasn't good enough? They just know how to win.
100%. They wasn't even as close as dominant as they ever been the years before.
But you're saying Harbaugh knows how to win.
Yep.
Chargers are loaded, obviously. The way they're more talented than the Chiefs.
Yep.
Okay. So, and with Harbaugh, that puts a stop to this mess.
100%. And so the funny part about Jim Harbaugh coming in is that he's not talking Super Bowl. He's talking about, let's go win the first game, second game, third game, fourth game. Let's start putting in this work today. But there's no need to look to the playoffs or the Super Bowl because the best team is in your division. So if you win a division, things are going to be good.
So you're a big Harbaugh fan.
I love his personality and how quick he's enabling change, walking in the door, and his philosophy because he's about this whole building blocks. He's not coming in, fans, media, everybody screaming Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl. Damn that, right? You need to beat the team, the best team in your division. Yeah. You take care of that, then you should be in good shape.
So what happened to his brother in Baltimore? It's the best team in the AFC?
They got schemed. They got schemed. They got out coached. And I'm not talking about the head coach position.
Yeah, just in general, across the board.
Across the board. Their D coordinator, Spagnuolo, put a vicious game plan against Lamar Jackson by having somebody stay in, spy, making sure he don't leave the pocket, making him one-dimensional and throw the football, which is why I never understood that they didn't do that to Patrick Mahomes. Because Patrick Mahomes didn't run a quarterback, but he hurts everybody with his legs.
No doubt.
Everybody. So he's not a running quarterback. So the first
But he hurt him late yesterday with his legs. When he wanted to.
He last year on their way to the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes, this is why I don't bet against him anymore. Patrick Mahomes had that bad foot. Mm-hmm. He had a bad foot. He was on pain meds. They shot him up, everything. He iced that game with his legs last year on that bad foot. Mm-hmm. If I'm going into the Super Bowl, if I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm coming in and saying, you know what, towards the end of that game, you hurt me one time with your legs. That's right. I'm keeping in a linebacker, a defensive tackle, or somebody that's sitting there and spying.
Niners didn't do it.
They didn't do it.
And they said that when we watched on TV, like nobody's spying them.
Nobody's spying them. So they got out-coached.
So how long has Spagnuolo been with Andy Reid?
I want to say, 6-7 years or close to it.
So how do you keep a guy like, and I don't know, did he not want to be a head coach? Does he want, how do the guys, does that happen a lot?
Certain coaches are great offensive, defensive coordinators, but they're not great coaches.
They don't want to run the whole thing.
No. That's, we've seen it. We've seen it happen over and over again because it's a different kind of management, right, as a head coach. You're not coming into the defensive, offensive meeting rooms anymore. You're running the shop. The whole show is yours. Mm-hmm. So you become a manager of the coaching staff. You become a manager of the players, the personalities, the front office. You're a manager of everybody. Mm-hmm. And some offensive and defensive coaches are not equipped to do that. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes, even though it's very, it's appealing to go and get that head coaching job somewhere, sometimes you don't even want that responsibility. You want to keep being great. And Spagnuolo is going to go down as one of the best coordinators who ever coached, ever. Right. And I played for Wade Phillips, and he's up. He has that.
He's in Wade Phillips category.
Absolutely.
Crazy. So you're charged of being Super Bowl next year. Yeah.
I don't.
Well, they could make a run. They legitimately could make a run.
I think they're gonna win a division.
Okay, but you don't think the Chiefs get a wild card, run through the play? It doesn't happen.
No.
It's early, way too early. But who do you think's who would you, if you had to pick somebody in the NFC to be in the Super Bowl next year, who would it be?
The Lions of San Fran.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Either team.
Yeah.
Okay. How about the AFC?
Chargers or Ravens.
Okay. So what does Harbaugh do differently then?
One thing with him and why he's been able to turn things around so fast. Mind you, so when he went to Stanford, when he went to San Francisco, even when he went to Michigan, he didn't have the talent that the Chargers had. Mm-hmm. So everybody's screaming, jumping up screaming that the Chargers won this and they pulled the trigger, which they did. They got a great coach.
Yep.
Harbaugh also won.
Yeah, he looked at what he had.
He's sitting around dealing with the NCAA stuff. You don't know what's going to happen with that. Yeah. And then, two, he's been talking about making the jumps to the NFL for a while. Yeah. He's been talking publicly about Justin Herbert. Yeah. How great he is.
So he's a big fan of Justin.
Big fan of Justin Herbert. And two, he's walking in the door with the keys to the Ferrari. All you got to say, hey, where the button at and how do I put it in drive? Mm-hmm. This is not a rebuilding situation where you're sitting around for 3 years trying to figure out what's going to happen. This is I got a franchise quarterback. Because we all know you're not winning in the NFL nowadays, how the league is built without a franchise quarterback. You got that. They got a little salary cap issue that they can fix with 3 players. Mm-hmm. You beef up the offensive line, get a run back in there with Austin Eckler, and you beef up the interior D lineman. You're set to go on talent the rest of the way.
So, being at the Super Bowl yesterday, one of the things I was confused about is I saw, obviously, a ton of Niners fans. Saw a shit ton of Chiefs fans. I saw more Niners fans than Chiefs fans. I don't know what the split was, but it seemed more Niners fans. They're closer to Vegas. That makes some sense to me. And who do you think I saw the most after that as far as teams, apparel? I didn't see everybody, but I probably saw a couple thousand people in my walking through the stadium. Who do you think would be the third team represented there wearing all their gear, being excited?
Raiders.
Raiders, because they didn't know they weren't in the Super Bowl, and they showed up.
Right.
Okay, they thought maybe they were. Then the Packers, which is crazy.
Packers, yeah.
Yeah, Packers. So the Raiders, again, they hired a coach, right? Good move?
Great move.
Great move. Yeah, they did great.
Yeah.
What do you think they look like next year?
They still the Raiders.
Okay, explain that.
And so look, and Antonio Pierce, my boy.
Yeah.
I got a great relationship with him. So I'm happy for one that former players get an opportunity to be at big positions, 100%. Right? Either offensive, defensive coordinator, and
it's got to be great for the game.
It is great for the game,
100%.
And so I'm happy. I'm really. I texted him. I told him. I said I'm happy for him. I still hope we kick your ass twice a year. He knows that, but.
Yep.
He was a great player. He was smart as all outdoors. And the combination of this, and this is why a lot of former players haven't got the head coaching job, because we just talked about managing everything. Because you could be a great coach, linebacker coach, defensive coordinator, defensive back coach, special teams coach, but you're only focused in on that position, that side of the ball. When you're a head coach, it's about scheduling practice, how hard to go, when to pull things back, how long you want to run film sessions, how long do you want to keep the coaches at. So you become a manager of everything, right? And it is no different than you being a CEO of a company.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
wear a lot of hats.
You wear a lot of hats.
A lot of hours.
You're a lot of hours, and ain't no set time to do anything, right? You got to stay for as long as it's necessary to stay and get things done. Ain't no clocking in and out. I'm sure that he's going to be sleeping on that couch in the office several nights.
How many hours a week those guys work, them head coaches? The ones that are just bought?
14 a day.
Really?
Yeah. Because you got to think, we come in on the Wednesday and Thursday in practice. Okay. We may come in at 7 o'clock in the morning and leave at 6 p.m. The coaches have to set up the meeting. So what time do they got to come in and what time they got to leave? So that's why being a coach is a lot. There's a lot of stuff to go on behind the scenes that people don't see. And to be a head coach in the National Football League, you're a CEO of a Fortune 100 company. Yeah. That's what you are.
No doubt.
And not everybody's equipped to do it, and very few can actually get it done. So,
Jerry Jones, general manager, right, owner.
Yeah.
And then I saw something you said. You said, listen, dude, them losing, ain't Jerry. Like, he put together a good team. That's a good football team, right? And I'm sitting there going, like, I think he's the only one, right? And what are they? And their coaches, they haven't changed their head coach.
Yeah.
Right? Should they have changed their head coach?
Yeah.
Yeah? Why didn't they? Why didn't Jerry Jones do it?
If you're not going to change the head coach, I think you change the quarterback. You got to change somebody.
Something, right?
Something got to go. And I seen Jerry Saturday, and he was walking out with Stephen Jones. I'm really close to the Jones family, and he didn't see me. He had his head down, and his security was walking him out, and I kind of reached for him, and I missed him. And Stephen Jones came back. He's like, "Oh, that's Shawne Merriman." He came back and hugged me, and I love Jerry to death, just for everything he stands for, what he built. Somebody got to go.
Yeah.
If it's not going to be the head coach, it has to be the quarterback, because you know what you're dealing with. And once somebody, and I'm talking about Dak Prescott, and I hate that because Dallas Cowboys fans let me have it all the time. I mean, I posted something about Dak Prescott the other day, saying that Justin Herbert I think is better than him.
But isn't Justin Herbert better than Dak Prescott?
But you can't tell Cowboys fans that. They just don't hear. Like, I can say every Diggs is my boy. Lawrence, I think Micah Parsons is the best defensive player in football. Yeah. You say something that Dak Prescott is not the most incredible quarterback that ever walked this earth, you're hating, you're criticized. Got 650,000 views on Instagram.
Because you said something
because I said something about Dak Prescott. But that's the truth. Yeah. So you already know that he's going to give you the best regular season you ever seen and get bounced right out the playoffs, because that's what he's shown you. Correct. He doesn't have that killer instinct to go out and win the big games. It's just he showed you that. Correct. So if you going to keep that, and God bless him. Jerry Jones is loyal as hell. Love his guys, love his players, and if he loves you, he always going to take care of you. But at some point in time, in my opinion, you know what you're dealing with, right? And so you have to make that decision to move on, because you already seen what that player is going to give you.
Now, football is very unique to me, I think, from a fan perspective, because baseball, I think fans love individual players.
Right.
I think if a dude leaves a team and he goes to a new team, like I think if Derek Jeter left the Yankees and went somewhere else, dudes would have went. Yeah. Like I just think it works that way. Ohtani, people move. Basketball, who's your favorite team? Well,
I'm a LeBron fan.
I'm a LeBron fan.
Or whoever, right?
I love the Heat. Now I love the Lakers. Curry left, whoever it is. KD's here. He's my guy. Football, though, seems like the fans stick with a team. Is that like why does that happen that way? Like I think there's some amazing players that switch teams, but I'm still I'm still with my whomever, the Cowboys. I'm still with the Raiders. Don't matter. Why is that way in football?
Because the NFL is great at presenting the shield and not the player.
What do they do to?
It's about that symbol, that logo, that mascot on your helmet, than it is the player, and that's what the NFL has been great at doing.
Which is brilliant.
It's a team sport.
Yeah.
Right? And so, some of the guys that individually get so big that you sometimes can become a problem in the organization.
Correct.
Right? Because you're so big. Take Odell Beckham, who got 15 or 20 million followers on Instagram. Right?
Yeah.
You got somebody that is so much star power in that locker room. It's a lot of influence. Now, that influence could be great or it could be not so great. So if Odell's pouting, breaking shit, going around, now the rookies, the young guys, it's okay for Odell to slam his helmet and not work hard in practice. I'm not saying that's the case.
Correct. I understand.
I'm just saying
your point.
Yeah, when you got so much influence in the locker room, if it's great, if it's good, perfect. Then you become a great locker room guy. If it's not, you're so big that we got to get your ass out of here. And that's the mentality when it comes to the NFL.
So they're brilliant at marketing.
The best.
Brilliant at brand protection.
The best. Mm-hmm.
And then I think we've talked about this before, and it's really been interesting to me. And I think, were you the one making the analogy to me about baseball going on strike? Or was that might have been somebody else who played in the league? I don't know if it was, but I said, like, why? Because in my opinion, when you look at the teams, like if I was nobody could fuck with the NFL. Okay, there's not anybody's going to launch something. It's the NFL. It ain't happening. Okay, but you look at like guaranteed money in baseball, like these dudes can, unless they breach, I think like they can still get paid. Football, man, it is brutal. It is violent. Careers are short. There's some guaranteed money, obviously. Yeah. But it's play to pay. Play to get paid. Eat what you kill.
Yeah.
Is it always going to be like that? I mean, the union hasn't been around as long as like what is that? Is that just that's just football and that's what the deal is?
Well, I got two answers for that. One being the player, right? Yeah. You always want to see the players get paid.
100%.
The owner of me, the business side of me is saying it's a dangerous sport. It is hard to guarantee all this money when you got a guy like Greenlaw who'll go out and tear his Achilles running on the field.
I know.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen much in basketball. It doesn't happen in baseball.
No doubt.
And so you got a very violent sport that is hard to lock down longevity with these guys. So that's why I tell players, like, when you're up for it, get as much as you can while you can, because you know that at some point in time they're going to ask you. Correct. It's just a part of the business. It happens to everybody. Right. So the owner side of me is saying I understand why they're not 5 and 6 year guaranteed contracts, because you can have a Greenlaw situation, go out, tear your Achilles. He's done. Greenlaw's not getting back on the field to the middle of next year. Yeah. Minimum. So how can you guarantee these long-term contracts? But as you just said, the players associations for each leagues have been around differently.
Correct.
Right? Baseball is like 20 or 30 years ahead of football. Yeah. So is the NBA. Correct. So you're starting to see the Patrick Mahomes, who got a $500 million deal, come around. Lamar Jackson, $250 million, most of it guaranteed, come around. So it's starting to happen. Trust me, when I was playing this, that was an afterthought for a guy that's getting $250 guaranteed. Yeah. I mean, we used to, I'm seeing guys now come off the bench for making $10 million a year. Guys, get up there, and I'm like, it's the only time when people ask, do you miss the game? Yeah.
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 What would you have made today? Take your dime. Seriously.
25 a year.
25 million a year? Easy.
Sure. Yeah.
How many years you play?
8. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, I would have made 25 a year. But you could be an old hater, understand that that's the way the game works, right? And you want to see the game progress, and you want to see, like, I love to see guys getting paid. Love it.
100%. How big are these contracts going to get?
As big as the game go up. When those TV rights keep going up, so does the money. And when the commercials go up, it used to be, back in the day, I saw a stat back in the 80s, it was like $150,000 for a commercial for the Super Bowl. Yeah. For 30 seconds. Now it's $7 million. And so when everything go up, the visibility of the sport, I mean, they're about to start having games in Brazil. Philly playing Brazil next year. They just had a game in Germany. That they're talking about having more games in Mexico City. So now you're talking about a global. It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. It's only going to get bigger.
So who are the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL right now?
Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Josh Allen.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow. I'm tied with that 3.
Really?
Yeah.
And Rodgers, what do you think is in the next year? Healthy?
Healthy. Yeah, he'll do numbers again.
Okay.
It's just that, for one, he's played for a long time without number one wide receivers, no star running back, not a star defense.
Yeah.
He's elite. That's what elite guys do. And that's why I can't put Dak Prescott, when we talk about Dak, I can never put him in that category, because if you don't have the best player in football, if you don't have an all-star cornerback like Diggs, the linebacking core, 2 or 3 all-pro offensive linemen, and the number one wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb, he can't do what Aaron Rodgers can do, so he can't make that elite category.
So I like listening to player, businessman. It's unique. I said that. I asked Shannon Sharp on the podcast, how do you do what you do? And I've asked you this before. Talking with dudes who never played, and great answer. He just said, when I'm with Stephen A, he has a different, I'm looking at it from a football perspective. Yeah. Coverages, everything you can imagine, things I've never even heard of. And he's like, and Stephen A ain't looking at that because that ain't going through his mind.
Right.
He's at a completely different lens than I got when I'm looking. So last question, you got both of these. You've done unbelievable things off the field, just getting those things rolling. Lights Out is about ready to explode. Yeah. In my opinion, I like some of the things you've really done. What is the next thing for you, for Shawne Merriman?
Visibility. We're on football right now. We are a week later on Bally's, Amazon Freevee, MSG Network, whatever. But I'm going to make an announcement here soon where we got internationally everywhere. UK, South America, and we want more eyeballs, because, and I think me and you talked about this before. Sometimes you can have the best product, the best thing going, and if nobody know about it, nobody gives a shit.
Correct.
And that's where it's about. So we got great things on. Our fights are great.
Yeah, no doubt.
The fans show up, 1,500 to 2,000. They show up, they show out. But unless you get more eyeballs and people to see what you're doing, it doesn't matter. So my whole thing was, for 2024 is a platform where everybody can watch us in the world. And then, 2, we got a big fight next Friday, February 16th, Long Beach, California. We got the new Lights Out Tech gloves we're going to introduce. Yeah. I did a partnership with a company called Shot Tracker. I actually got their technology, and we're going to use it in the glove for the first time. Now, they have a partnership with the NBA, MLB, and PGA. So we're going to use it for combat sports.
Love it.
So what's that going to happen is, now data is going to be displayed on the screen about punches and where things are landing. I mean, we're going to get crazy with this
when
data.
Can we bet on it?
That's the whole point. That's why we're doing it. So I think that as soon as we get the data accurate, it's going to take us a couple fights. As soon as we get the data accurate, we got some big players in the game in the betting space. It's going to come on board and really be able to license it out and work with them.
Well, I'll tell you what, dude. I'll tell everybody real quick for you. How many shows you do this past week? Super Bowl week, how many shows you do?
119.
119 in the week?
4 days.
4 days?
Yeah.
How many meetings?
16 meetings and 6 events.
How many hours you working a day last 4 days?
15 hours, yeah.
Killing it, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Appreciate you joining Close and Conquer.
Man.
Love you more than you know. Guys, if you want, you can't get better insight than that in the game, business, ownership, the Super Bowl. Harbaugh, that's going to stop the Chiefs single-handedly and the team from going next year. If you like this, please share it, subscribe, like. My man Shawne Merriman, Lights Out. You can find him everywhere. We appreciate you jumping on. Thanks for your time.